you ready? The Cornelia Stephanie Show. Wake up to love, your call to action. Join Cornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Cornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cornelia Stephanie Show. It's an honor and a pleasure to be with you as always. I look forward to introducing you to our guests today. Stories of hope. We always love receiving these amazing stories that people went through to turn their lives around, and everyone can relate to challenging times and then turning it into victorious times. And so our first guest today is Earnest Wood. He was raised by a single mother, and that single mother, she was 14 years old, and she planned on having him. That was a decision that she had made at that age, that she wanted to have a child. And so she was a single mother, and she gave birth to Ernie. Now, that same week that he found out he was going to be a dad himself is when he got in some trouble. He joined the U.S. Navy and became a nuclear machinist mate on a submarine, then on to the power industry for 20 years, followed by car sales. One day he looked in the mirror and he did not like the man looking back, and he went on a self-transformation journey. He published a book called From Asshole to Awesome, Journey to Joy and Happiness, and now he coaches high-achieving men to master your life with balance. Welcome to the show today, Earnest Wood.
Thank you for having me on.
So I was, struck right away with a mother, your single mother, your mother, how she at 14 wanted to have you. Did she ever tell you the reason why she wanted to have you, that was planned? And did she tell you even at that age? Did she ever tell you that reason?
She never did tell me that reason. I kind of surmised that I had an uncle that committed suicide. She had one other brother, and I think like my grandparents were awesome, but they were very, very strict. My grandpa was a old school, like military person, and he went from the bottom enlisted rank all the way up to the highest officer rank. So he was extremely strict when it came to things. So I think it kind of came from that, but she just wanted out of the house, needed to be gone.
Yeah. So, and then, yeah. And she probably also needed an outlet for her love, to express love to. And I remember a long time ago when I had that desire, because when we all want to feel needed, we all want to feel needed, and probably that was also another reason that your mother wanted to have a child, is so that that the child would need her.
Yeah. You know what? I
Right.
never even thought about that.
That the
Because-
child,
Yeah,
yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. We
yeah.
had a definitely had a fantastic relationship for most of the time, but my mom's, being 14, she was still growing up,
Oh my gosh.
doing her own kind of growing up, right? So she ended up getting her master's degree and everything down the road, but there were certain things that she definitely never experienced. Like she recently just passed,
Mhm.
and she held grudges, unfortunately, to the day she died. And I think that's kind of how she died, was because she couldn't forgive anything or anyone. And it's kind of sad. Her body was just ravaged by cancer. And the day that she, or the last words she ever said to me, I was apologizing for the little fight that we had and telling her, wish, everything never happened. And she told me, well, I wish you could shit in one hand and wish in the other one and see which one fills first. And that was the very last words my mother ever said to me before she passed. So uh, there was that little spot holds a bad spot, in my heart or whatever. It's super hard to get by sometimes with knowing that
Yeah.
I will never see her or hear her again.
Yeah, I mean, that's terrible. You said it, holding on to past hurts. And even for her to be, at that young age, she never had the space to really, or made it a priority to heal those wounds, or to look at herself like you did. Like you, one day you looked in the mirror. She probably also would have been served by looking in the mirror, because whatever was looking back at her, she wasn't happy with it.
I
Right.
100% agree with you.
Right.
100% agree.
Yeah. And so, you looking in the mirror, not liking what you're seeing, and then that opened up that whole self-transformation journey, so that you can be more authentic to, what's true for you today. What the man that you were looking at, you didn't like that man.
That
And
is 100% true. Like I always say I had moments of happiness, but I never was truly happy. Like I looked for superficial things to make me happy, like doing stupid things, saying stupid things. And by getting a reaction, it made me, kind of feel better for the minute, but I was never truly happy where I was at. I knew there was something better out there. I've done it. I don't even know. I've probably read 500 self-help books. I've done so much different studying, but when I finally learned there's a couple little things, and hope is one of them. And without like having hope, and it's funny because in today's world, a lot of people use hope almost as like a negative. Like I always say, well, I hope this happens, and they're like, why do you say, why are you negative? I'm like, how do you take that negative? But so many people take it negative. And then now that I've been able to express it and use hope as like totally positive, so people are starting to go, oh, I see what you're saying. I know what you're saying now about hope, right?
yeah, so you must have, you had a long career, you were in the military, you had a long career, you went into car sales, so you did all of these things. So you were definitely working out there, doing all of the things, maybe even like your grandfather did in the beginning of when he achieved the things that he achieved. But you looked in the mirror and you didn't like what you saw. And so then you started going inward, and then you started transforming, started doing the personal development that you're talking about. Then you became a writer and you wrote your book. So tell us about that. Tell us about, did you feel that you were an asshole?
Oh, it's funny because all my friends go, when were you an asshole? And I'm like, dude, remember when I said this and I did this and I did this? And they're like, oh, okay, I guess you could say you were. Um, I in some ways the title is more just like it's a grabby thing, right?
It is.
But I was definitely like, to me, I was definitely an asshole. I did a lot of things that were just bad. I was pretty racist. I was sexist. I was pretty much whatever is you can think of. I had no gratitude. I didn't forgive anybody. The way I was raised, I had to kind of scratch and climb for everything.
Uh-huh.
So everything I felt it was owed to me.
Mhm.
Um, Once I learned that gratitude, forgiveness, empathy, and then acts of kindness, that's kind of how I live my life now. It gave me that more hope, right? Now I'm able to go share it with other guys. And too many men, we get so caught up in our ego that we don't ever want to say, hey, we did something wrong, right? Because it's almost from a long time ago, you weren't allowed to make errors. And that's how I raised my kids. And we had a little couple hard spots because I didn't allow them to make errors. But errors are the way that you get better in life. And that's the way you improve. And learning that nobody's perfect is like so relieving to your soul to get rid of that ego, right? You have to have a certain amount of ego, but you don't take it to the spot where you're conceited and you don't care about other people. So
I
that's
think
all the stuff that I had to do to kind of transform. And now I'm at where I'm at.
that's so good. I love your principles. I love the pillars. The kindness, the forgiveness. What was the other ones? What was the other
Gratitude
gratitude? And what was the
and
other one?
empathy.
Yeah.
Empathy.
I mean, those are wonderful pillars, and that's so great that you have tamed your ego, right? The wounded ego is what I like to call it, the ego that's
100%.
wounded, that always wants to be right. And, like you said, you had an entitlement chip. And then you also said that you didn't forgive, but you also said that about your mom, that she didn't forgive. And she ended up dying with a broken heart, which is right because
Yeah.
she carried that around. So you are leaving a better legacy for your children, because those are the future leaders in our new earth. It's where we're going, and is your generation, the generation of the children that are yet to come, and what we're leaving behind, and that we can model to them the right way of living and being, and those four principles to build that found use that as a foundation and build upon that. It's an important thing. I love that you're out there teaching men, being that role model and helping men. So first I want to know how to tell the audience how to find you on social media, the social media handles, and then give us the title again of your book and where to find that.
Um, so the social media, you can actually go to my website. It's earnestwood.com, super easy, my name.com. There is a way to book a little call. We can chat and see if we make a good fit for each other. I only work with 10 to 12 people at a time. There's like 6 week sessions. So I try to keep it super limited so everybody has, like, I'm in there with them the entire time. And then my book title, Asshole to Awesome. It's on Amazon. You can actually download a free copy from the website though. But if you decide to purchase, or anybody decides to purchase, I use all profits to go help somebody that's in need. Right now, I have a little guy that I know well, he's actually in LA, but I met him in Kauai. He has leukemia. He's 7 years old. All profits are going to go to his family. It's, not going to be life changing for him, but it does help out a little bit. So that's what I do with all my book stuff.
Yeah, it's the way to give back. It's the way you're giving back. It's beautiful. It's beautiful how you're doing that. And I know that every little bit helps, right? Every little bit.
Every
Yeah, I think you've done a fantastic job. How old are your kids today?
29 and 27. My oldest boy is a lawyer, and then my youngest does real estate, and he's absolutely like killing it. So they're doing great. But it's I did something right as a dad. So even if they get mad at me sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Well, you're doing great. I like I said, I think it's wonderful when you can really own up and take responsibility for your life and some of the things that you want to be better on, and that you want to really like the person that you're looking at in the mirror. You want to like that person, and you did that, and then you're helping others now, and that's so beautiful. I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. We're going to take a break on the Cornelia Stephanie Show. We'll be right back, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Cornelia Stephanie Show. I'm excited to introduce you to Stephanie Brislin. Stephanie is a mom like many others, balancing life's demands in the fast-paced world of Southern California. But there's something unique about her. She possesses a powerful superpower. She is alcohol-free, and it has completely transformed her life. As a stepmom and later a mother to her own children, Stephanie thought that wine was the answer to managing the endless anxieties, frustrations, and pressures of being a working parent. After all, it was a quick fix to unwind after a long day. But over time, Stephanie found awareness in a hard reality that alcohol wasn't easing her stress, it was making it worse. The realization hit her hard, but it also sparked a life changing transformation. She made a bold decision to trade in the coping mechanism of wine for something far more powerful: self compassion and curiosity. And through this process, Stephanie learned to embrace her emotions fully, face the tough moments with courage, and to find true joy without the haze of alcohol. Perfect, perfect. Welcome to the show today, Stephanie.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you to you for sharing inspiring stories that inspire hope, because hope is, I believe, is truly a powerful motivator and force for creating lasting change. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. This topic that you're talking about, being alcohol free, or uh, using wine to calm things down, because that's how we think about it in the mind, right? Now that we're moving into the holiday week, you were talking earlier before we came live that this is a topic that it's really that you want to shed some light on what people can do. And what do you want to say about all of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much. As we know, the holiday season brings up lots of different emotions for different people. We're unique. Our pasts and our experiences are different. But we tend to carry those things around with us, right? It brings up memories and our past experiences. And so there's a lot of feelings involved with that, as well as stresses to meet standards that maybe we put on ourselves, maybe other people put on us, but maybe really aren't in alignment with our values and our intentions. And so this can cause a lot of stress. And people tend to, lean on heavy alcohol consumption during this time, also in the light of festivities and social gatherings.
Yeah.
And so there's just lots of alcohol around all the time.
Yeah.
And so my invitation, I guess, is to really ask yourself, like, how do I want to spend my holidays, right? Like, do I want to be present and engaged with the people that I love the most? Like, what do the holidays mean to me? And that's a really great question to start and reflecting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really good to be intentional because, you know, if we are numbed up and tuned out, then we're not really fully all present and aware with what's happening here. And what we're doing now is setting us up for future habits and patterns. And so when would be a good time to become more aware? Like you said, what does it mean to you? And I think being more intentional this holiday season is a really good thing to do. Like I said to you, I've been seeing various different influencers right now, speakers that are talking about the whole piece about the alcohol, really wanting to shift it in their lives, right? And not using it as the crutch that it once was.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Like it's an opportunity, right? And even if you do decide to drink and engage in that, there's nothing wrong, right? But being mindful about why you're doing it, right? Is it because you're having a good time and you're socializing, or is it because, like, you're trying to numb and escape yourself and thoughts and emotions and feelings that you're having about a certain event or circumstance or life in general, right? And these, you're so right, because these traditions that we start building, then we carry forward, right? And so really, what do you want your holiday traditions to be? What are they now? who gave them to you? Are they yours or are they somebody else's? And does that feel in alignment with you, right?
Right. And it's not just to alcohol, it's like any type of addictions that, even if it's overeating on sugar, even if it's um marijuana, even whatever it is that is used to escape um the reality of, the exchange that you find yourself in, right? And so it could be anything. Um So how do you want it to be? I think that's a really good question. What does it mean to you, and how do you want to spend your holidays? And how did you um, make that decision that I want to be more intentional around my consumptions?
Yeah, thanks. It was 5 years ago around this time that it was kind of in my face that maybe alcohol wasn't serving me and the lifestyle that I wanted anymore. I had my daughter was almost 2 at that point, and then my stepkids were 11 and 12, and I was not showing up the way that I wanted to, right? Like, being able to have children is such a gift.
Right.
Like, yes, of course, there are so many stresses involved with it and challenges, but it's also really, really beautiful. And when we use substances or habits to escape, we're also numbing out the things that we want to have, like joy, right? So when we're numbing out things that we don't want to feel, like stress, we don't get to selectively numb. It's numbing across the board. So we're also numbing feelings of joy. And I really had an internal battle that I was not showing up the way that I wanted to be as a mom, And so kind of evident that alcohol was playing a role in that. And so I decided to take a look at it in January of 2020, and I did a dry January. Um, and I did not make it the full 30 days. But something was different this time because I had read a book called This Naked Mind by Annie Grace, and I was using her program, The Alcohol Experiment. And so I was really just getting curious and understanding why I was turning to alcohol and what it was doing to me. And of course, using compassion for myself because I'm human, right? And we all go through these things. And through that, something different changed, and I was able to get back up and keep trying until March 2020. And that's when I had my last drink, and I'm so grateful for it. And I feel free, and I do not have feelings of deprivation or feelings of missing it at all, because I've completely rewired the way that I view alcohol. And I really hope that for other people.
So beautiful, because what a wonderful mom you are. What a wonderful role model you are, for your children. And also, I think the way that you said it was perfect. I wasn't showing up the way I wanted to show up as a mom, and even if you don't have children, even saying the words, I'm not showing up for myself the way that I want to show up for myself, right? Even that. So, again, look at the hope that you are inspiring with what you were able to accomplish so that someone else can too. And you did it. And, there's compassion involved in all the things. So do you do one-on-one coaching? Do you help people? Is that how you work with people now? Want to get your social media handles, and also how people can follow you?
Yeah, thank you so much. I do work one-on-one with people. I also have a group program, which I love so much because it's really powerful connecting with other people. Sometimes we like to say the opposite of addiction is connection, because people need other people. And so you can learn more about what the services I offer, or just get free tools and resources. I'm on Instagram at Coach Stephanie Brislin. And my website is The Life Within Coaching.
Nice, nice. Well, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show, and I wish you much success with what you're doing. And again, I think it's so powerful, the type of environment that you're setting up for your children. I think that's a powerful thing, and also the environment you set up for yourself. So it's beautiful to see that the next generation is going to make different choices, right? So it's beautiful. Thank you, Stephanie, for
Thank
coming on.
you so much.
Yeah.
Thank
We're
you.
going to take a break on the Cornelia Stephanie Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Our next guest is Jason Tuttle. Amazing story of hope. And again, how he turned his tragedy into how he's serving others now. He was married. He is a married father of two kids with multiple mental and physical disabilities. He was a SAHD for 12 years until his son suddenly, unexpectedly passed away from issues related to his needs on January the 28th, 2022. And since that day, when his son passed, he created a website, a Facebook blog, a community called Letters to Zachary on grief that details his raw journey, unfiltered, and an open grief journey from a male's father's perspective. It's a place where men can feel vulnerable enough to share their emotion, empower women to help the grieving men in their lives, and see that it's okay to share vulnerability uh, through example. And the community is open to all grievers. Wow. Welcome to the show today, Jason.
Well, thank you for having me.
That's First of all, that's really extraordinary what happened to you. So your son passed away unexpectedly, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. And so then you were, when that happened, you were overwhelmed with grief.
Sure. Yes, I went through, the typical 5 stages of grief, although I learned very quickly that those stages aren't necessarily you go through one and then two and then three and then they're very fluid. They go back and forth. And, as a typical male, there was a lot of anger in the beginning because I was the stay-at-home parent. I did all the physical medical stuff. I was at the hospital. Did all the doctor's visits, that kind of thing. So the 3 days leading up to his actual passing, whereas I knew all of his kind of body language and things related to that because he was nonverbal, I never picked up on it. And so at least in the beginning, there was a lot of anger in the sense of, I'm the caretaker. I'm the one that's supposed to make you feel better. I'm the one that's supposed to make sure this doesn't happen. And this happened.
Yeah. Wow. I just want to say too, even it doesn't matter when it comes to the grief
Hmm.
that with the anger piece, because women
Hmm.
get angry too.
Oh, yeah.
And no matter what, so anger and grief it goes through. Sometimes there's anger there, there's rage, and
Hmm.
there's different layers, I'm sure, as you know now.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then there is deep sadnesses, deep sadness, deep, and
Hmm.
there's layers there too.
Hmm.
So but I love how you turned all of this into a healthy expression. I'm sure that um the your Facebook page, when you're talking about giving raw, vulnerable
Hmm.
expressions of your grief, the letters that you wrote,
Hmm.
your open journal, that must have been so profound for people to read.
Uh, y- it was in the sense of I got a feeling very early on that, like I told people when I posted them, I said, Look, I'm not here to sugarcoat this. I personally believe that people need to see the good, the bad, and the ugly as it relates to grief.
Yeah.
And there are times that a lot of grievers have very dark moments. Are 99.99% of us are not going to act on those dark moments, but it's still a reality. And so when we're going through those dark tunnels in the grief community, we know eventually there will be light. Although there is a very small percentage that may not make it out of there, but it's still something that people need to see and understand. This is a part of the evolution of from losing, a parent, a sibling, in my case, a child, that we go through this, and I felt the need to share it, especially with the fact of all the groups I went in, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I was kind of the unicorn in those groups because it was 99% women that were in these groups. And then I came in there and said, "Hey, do you mind if I share?" And I was almost kind of like fans of the Beatles. They were almost attacking me, going, "Yes, we would love to. We so rarely hear this." And it just so happened as I've been told, I have kind of a way with words that resonated with a lot of people.
Yeah, that's why I said,
Mhm.
that the fact that you called it, what was it? Legacy, what was it?
Uh,
Letters to Zachary.
Correct.
And you're talking about you're
Mhm,
vulnerable, and you're talking about the darkness that
mhm,
overcomes you, and you're being authentic in that expression,
mhm.
especially as a man.
Oh, yeah. Um, eh, Early on, it was more or less me kind of verbally vomiting, if you will, on a page just to get it out. But as it has evolved over the little over a year now that I've been doing this,
Mm.
it's become more of a yes, this is how men feel, but I wanted to help, even though men may not come to my page, I knew that their spouses would. And it was more to say, hey, from a male's point of view, this is kind of what we're thinking while this is going on. Here's some guidelines that I feel like will help you. Now, it may not be a magic answer, but it will certainly help when you're talking with your male significant other while they're grieving.
So good. I mean, you're educating, you're
Mhm,
teaching. And then on top of it, men were never trained to go
yeah,
ahead and be in your emotional self and processing your emotions
mm,
and feeling your grief and feeling the sadness, feeling the rage, feeling the anger, feeling
mhm,
all of those things that men have been conditioned and trained.
mm,
Suck it up, get on with it. You
mhm.
gotta, you gotta get on with it, right? So the fact
Definitely.
that you're doing that, that's the kind of emotional availability that relationships women want from men, is for them
Sure.
to be in their emotional energy as well, not to suck it up, not to
Mhm.
put it away. You're that's why it's so good that you're doing it this way.
Certainly, a- and it's been very positive from both sides of genders and different areas of life. But like I've even come up with what I would call the male grief commandments that are kind of 10 points of, hey, here's from my point of view what's gone on. Here's kind of the negative side of it, and here's the positive response to it that I feel like will work. For example, the one I'll give you is like I tell women all the time, and again, it's nothing personal, but I look at them and go, "You've got to listen, and not listen to respond."
Oh,
And
that's a mic drop. Wait a minute. Hold on. Say that again.
I have told many a women that you need to listen, and not listen to respond. And I say that because when a woman comes to a man and opens up and all that, it is expected, if not demanded, that the man does it. And if a man steps out of that, then um there's backlash, if you will, from the female side. And I tell women all the time, if you expect that from us, then we should expect that from you. And men, especially your traditional macho men, if they feel strong enough to come to you with something that makes them vulnerable, for the love of all that's good and holy, listen. Because if you blow it off and think, I can't believe you're coming to me with that, men are kind of like the baseball analogy. They'll give you probably three strikes and you're out. And once you cross that line, they shut down. And that's why I've always said you got to listen, not listen to respond. Let us get out and then respond. Don't cut in the middle and pick up points.
Most of the time, humans, they will sit there as they're listening to someone,
Hmm.
and they'll already be formulating a response in
Hmm.
there, right? So
Hmm.
this whole thing that you're talking about here is educating humans,
Hmm.
women, and
Hmm.
also, you know, educating people to um just let just let it land.
Yep.
Just let it land, you know, just let it land. It doesn't have to be fixed. It doesn't have to be filled
Hmm.
in. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't need a relatable thing. You might be able to relate, but it doesn't matter if you can relate or not. Just
Hmm.
listen. Just let it land. I love that. I
Hmm.
want to have you back on the show, and I want to do a longer show with you because I really, you're in your zone. I just want
Well,
to tell
thank
you.
you.
I want to let the audience know how they can look you up, your social media, look it up and give us the handles, and then quickly take us over to Amazon where your grief coloring book is and tell us about that.
Okay, the easiest way to do it is you can go to my website, which is www.letterstozachary.com. And Zachary is spelled Zachary, not Ey. Um, and that has everything related to me, my son's social media accounts, media appearances, that kind of thing, all on there. As for the book, always wanted something tangible that I could hold in my hands for my son. And so several months ago, I came across a publisher and we brainstormed, and I thought I wanted to do something unique, especially because my son has a sibling. And I thought, how can I explain this to her in an easy way that was de stressing, that it wasn't something that was weighing down on her? And I thought, well, everybody loves to color, especially kids. I thought this could be the bridge. So I do have the coloring book. It's called, let's see if I can get on there. Letters to Zachary is the coloring book, is what it looks like on Amazon. You can get to it off of my website. Uh, every entry in there outside of the several that are mine are actual parents that I have either met online or met personally that have lost a sibling. I know all of them in the book.
Wow, you've done extraordinary work. I just want to say that I'm sure you've been told this before, but I want to say it myself, and
Mhm.
that is that Zachary is
Mhm.
really, really proud of you.
Well, thank you.
I want to thank you so much for coming on the Cornelia Stephanie Show.
Mhm.
Jason, it's amazing. I want to have you back in the future.
Mm.
We're going
Sure.
to take a break right now, and we'll be right back, everyone. What an awesome show we're having today. These guests are just absolutely inspiring. I just feel so hopeful about everything. Our next guest is Annie Burke, MBA. She is Brisbane. She's from Australia, and she's here. Uh, uh, she is an international best-selling author and an international animal communicator. Animal medium, Annie Burke has conversations with animals living and in spirit. She conveys messages between them and their humans and provides clarity and peace of mind. Animals are her passion, and her mission is to raise global awareness of the importance of animals. She wants people to understand that animals have souls and that they feel emotions, that they understand everything that we say, and that there is no coincidence that they are in our lives. Welcome to the show, Annie.
Thank you very much, Cornelia.
So it's so good, the work that you're doing. I mean, so many people love their pets like kids, right? So what I love is that you're an animal communicator and that you're raising awareness that the animals can feel everything, right? That the animals have emotions and that they can feel everything. What is it that you want to say to the audience about that?
Look, lots of different things. And most people get very surprised when I tell them that animals understand everything that we say. And they kind of look at me and think, oh, what have I been saying in front of my animal? But it's amazing the vocabularies that our animals have. I've had someone say to me, it's a dog. It knows stop and walk, and that's it. But with doing the mentorship program that I offer, where I work with animal parents and they learn to talk telepathically with their own animals, the words that they come out with in the exercises we do are just amazing. Some of them are words I've never heard of before, and I look them up in the dictionary and they're there. I believe that some of these animals have had past lives hundreds of years ago, and so they're using words that they're familiar with from those eras. But it's incredible that you can have this profound conversation with an animal. So, for people listening who have living animals and have never thought about an animal conversation, you can find out so much from your animal. So, you can find out why they're with you, what is their purpose, have you had past lives with them, what's the relationship with you. Uh, are they having behaviour issues that you want to discover what's causing them? And it's interesting because a lot of times animals change their behaviour because they're trying to talk to us and tell us something. And until we can communicate telepathically, they have to rely on their facial expressions or body language or even different vocalizations. And they're so smart, they know that changing behaviour gets our attention. And none of the animals I've spoken to with changed behaviour have done it just to deliberately be naughty. There's an important message they're trying to get to their humans. And then for people who have lost an animal, I know because I've experienced this myself, it's one of the most difficult things that we do. But having a conversation with your animal in spirit can also give you that peace of mind and hope, because we can find out what happened if we weren't there when our animal passed away or we didn't have a chance to say goodbye. Again, we can find out about the soul connections. But the most amazing things that animals have taught me is about animal soul reincarnation. And I knew nothing about that till one of my cats let me experience it. It was such a huge shock because she wasn't unwell and she wasn't very old. But she knew that by doing this, I would then understand the process. I'd be able to write about it in my books and I'd be able to help people. Because when I have a conversation with an animal in spirit, I can ask, is it your destiny to come back in this lifetime? And if it is, they can tell me what species they're going to be, what breed, what colour, what gender, time frame for when the parents can find them. And to me, this makes such a phenomenal difference to the grief process because, yes, you're mourning the loss of your animal who's passed over, but by knowing that an aspect of their soul is going to come back to you in a new animal body and have another lifetime of love with you, is just incredible. It's really surreal having them back again. And so many people ask me to tell their animal how much they love them and how much they'd give to hug them one more time. And there you are, your animal comes back and you get to hug them every day. And be grateful that you've got another lifetime with them. And I know a lot of people feel that when their animal passes away, that that's it, that's the end of the relationship. The physical body's not here anymore. But we can actually always telepathically communicate with our animal's soul in spirit. They've taught me that the soul endures. So that love relationship we have with them endures whether they come back in this lifetime or not. I've spoken with a dog who passed over more than 20 years ago. It's like having a conversation with you now. So, and I think that gives people a lot of hope as well, that yes, they've had this very special relationship with an animal and that can continue.
It's so beautiful. Everything that you're saying, it's just, it's such a beautiful education and relationship, right? That you're making us aware. And obviously you're very passionate about it. You were meant to do this because you are definitely just in that zone of speaking this out. I just want to confirm something with you about the communication with animals. So I had um my dog that passed away in 2015. She was with me for 16 years. And but one of the things that I learned, I was communicating with her when she was here. And but one of the things that I had learned is that it was back in 2009. I discovered there was a tumor on her throat. And I discovered it with us playing ball. And she was sitting on my bed. She had a big yawn kind of, and I saw it on her throat. And that's when I realized that she was taking that tumor on for me. Because at that time I was just beginning to come into my voice and speaking my voice. And I told her, I said, do not take on my emotions, my things that are for me. That's not your role. So I took her to the vet, and then of course it came back, but it was all fine. It wasn't a thing. It was benign. But the vet told me only somebody like you would be able to see this, find this, and discover this. And um, but that's when I discovered that I did not want my animal, because like you said, the animals know what we're going through and they love us so much. And how do you feel about that?
I was just going buzzy listening to you telling me that story. So my soul recognizes that as the truth. And I've had that experience myself personally and also with our clients. Their animals are so tuned into our frequency that when we get ill, our frequency drops, our vibrational frequencies, and the animals can pick that up. And often they know before we do that we're not well. And they can also read our mood. So, like if we're sad or angry, and they'll deliberately spend more time with us to support us, to help us. But yes, they can energetically take on some of our symptoms for us so that we're not bearing the full brunt of the condition. They know we haven't asked them to do that. They just feel it's like an act of service. They want to help us. And I've had that with a couple of my cats. And so once I've worked out what was actually going on, I've had to say, well, look, thank you for doing that. But it would make me a lot happier and less stressed if you can let me take on my symptoms and I can have you there as healthy. And they understand that, but it just happens so frequently. And it's just amazing all of these things our animals are doing behind the scenes to help us that a lot of people aren't aware of. So, on the physical aspects, with helping with lowering blood pressure and reducing
Yeah,
the risk of heart attacks, all of those kind of things,
yeah,
companionship. But there's also the deeper spiritual purpose, which is what I've been finding more and more in my conversations now as well, and what I've written about in my most recent book. And my gorgeous boy, who you can see in the background, actually dictated the last chapter for me. And told me a lot of things he wanted me to include in the book, because he knew how important it is to get these messages out to people and to help with their consciousness expansion. And that's part of the thing that animals can do to help us. I knew that they could help us with evolving our hearts, because they help us to experience unconditional love. And for a lot of people, if they're on their own, their animal is the only being that they get to experience love with. And that's really important for us. But they can actually accelerate our learning. And some of these animals are very evolved souls. They've had multiple lifetimes. So the wisdom they're carrying is amazing. And they know how to deliver it to us in bite-sized pieces so that we can understand it, absorb it, integrate it, and then they teach us again. So a lot of our animals are here to teach us or to heal us or to help guard us, or a combination. So again, having a conversation with them, you can just find out so much about why they're with you. And just one conversation can change the dynamics of the relationship. So even if you're listening and you don't know how to telepathically communicate with your animal, after listening to this show, if you go and look at your animal in the face and tell them that you love them and you're grateful that they're with you, that will change things for them. It empowers them. They know that you love them, but hearing you verbally saying those high frequency words really helps them. And that will change your connection. And that's all about what I'm about, is deepening that animal human relationship.
so beautiful. I mean, you must be super, super busy. I just want to say, because I just know how much people love their animals, how much people love their pets, and you're helping them on a deeper level to, strengthen that relationship between the animal and the person. It's so beautiful. I want to let the audience know where they can find your books
Yes,
and
certainly.
social media handles.
Yes. So I've got 3 books. 2 are about the Bridging Animal Consciousness series. I've got to write a 3rd in the trilogy yet. And the middle book is about spiritual awakening to help people on their journey. So for people listening in Australia, they're available directly from me. And for elsewhere in the world, they're available from Amazon. The best way to contact me is through my email address or sending me a message through my website, which is cosmicheartintuitive.com.au.
Annie, you are amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate your passion and your service and just your inspiration, and also, the work that you're doing with animals. It's so helpful, so beautiful. Thank you so much. I want to thank the audience for listening and tuning into the Cornelia Stephanie Show, all my guests today, and I also want to thank Transformation Talk Radio for their support in the ways that they make sure that we get the shows out to all of you. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you again next time. Take good care.
You've been listening to the Cornelia Stephanie Show, Wake Up to Love, your call to action. Tune in each week on Transformation Talk Radio. Cornelia's joy is to engage others in practical ways, showing us how to live in the new earth in harmony with our true nature. For more information on Cornelia and her extraordinary work, or to listen to past shows, go to her website at corneliastephanie.com.